Good morning, my dear students. Today we will discuss chapter 9 of your science book, Soil. Soil is the dark brown or black solid material which is a mixture of rock particles of various size and decayed plants and animals. It is one of the most important natural resources. Can you tell me what are natural resources? Yes, natural resources are the materials or substances which comes from natural environment and they exist in nature without any action of humankind. They occur naturally. Some of the common examples of natural resources are air, water, wood, wind and soil. Soil forms the uppermost layer of the earth and its major functions are it supports plant growth. First, by holding the roots firmly, and second, by supplying water and nutrients to the plant. It is also essential for agriculture, which provide us with food, clothing, and shelter. It acts as a natural habitat for many organisms like earthworm, fungi, bacteria, and ant. Soil contains air, water, and countless living organisms like fungi, bacteria, and insects like ant and beetle, earthworm, and rodents. Some organisms are too small that they cannot be seen by naked eye, like fungi and bacteria. An important soil organism is an earthworm. It is visible only in the rainy season. It increases the fertility of the soil. When we collect soil sample from different sources such as garden, roadside, construction site and riverside, and if we examine it by the help of magnifying glass, we will learn that we get grasses, roots, ant, earthworm, termite, beetle and concrete from garden soil. We get dry roots, ant, termites, plastic bags and concrete etc. from roadside soil. We get ant, gravel, plastic, polythene, sand and cement etc. from the soil where construction is going on, and get dry grasses, haze, humus, millipede, centipede, lichen, glass particles, plastic, polythene etc. from riverside soil. About 1/5 of the area of the surface of earth is covered with soil, and the composition of soil is mainly water, air, minerals, organic matter, humus, roots and organisms. When we are dealing with the topic soil, we should also know about soil pollution. And some of the common causes of soil pollution are improper disposal of industrial waste. Sometimes people throw polythene bags and plastic articles in the soil and they kill the useful organisms living in the soil. Some other substances like chemicals, pesticides and fertilizers also pollute the soil. So what we can do to control them? To prevent soil pollution, the use of polythene bags must be banned, and the waste product and chemicals must be treated before they are released into the soil. The use of pesticides in the agriculture field must also be minimized in order to prevent soil pollution, and we should also take care of proper disposal of industrial waste. So the next question which strikes in our mind is how the soil get formed. Soil is formed by breaking down of rocks by the action of wind, water and climate, and this process is known as weathering. Rocks get heated by the sun and cooled by the rain continuously for a long time. The surface rock breaks down into small pieces because of repeated heating and cooling. These small pieces are carried to different places by wind and water etc. As they move, they get mixed with organic matter and rubbing takes place between them, and they get converted into small particles and form soil. But it is a very slow process and it takes thousands of years for a huge rock to turn into fine particles. The nature of soil depends upon the rock from which it has been formed and types of vegetation that grow in it. The weathering of rock produces small particles of various materials. These include sand and clay. The relative amount of sand and clay depends upon the rock from which the particles were formed. The rock particles present in the soil are of different sizes and chemical composition. On the basis of size of rock particles present in the soil, we can categorize the soil into four major groups: clay, silt, sand, and gravel. First is clay. Smallest rock particles present in the soil forms clay, and these are so small that we cannot see a single clay particle and it feels smooth. Second is silt. The particles in the soil that are little larger than clay are called silt. It is not so smooth as clay. Silt are found deposited at the riverbed. Flood deposit the silt from river in the field. Third one is sand. Rock particles in the soil which are larger than silt are called sand, and these are coarse to touch due to their larger size. The fourth one is gravel. The largest size rock particles which are present in soil are called gravel, and these are the stones that are present in topsoil in very small quantity. The soil in different geographical areas contains different proportions of sand, clay, and silt in them. It also contains a small amount of humus. Can you tell me what is humus? Humus is rotting dead matter present in soil, and it is of black color. Depending upon the composition, soil can be classified as sandy soil, clayey soil, and loamy soil. Sandy soil. These contains mainly sand, and these are quite large particles. There are large spaces between them which are filled with air. Water can drain off quickly through these spaces. The sandy soil tends to be light, well aerated, and rather dry. Since it is aerated, it can be plowed easily and cannot retain water. So it is not good for plants. Since it is light, it can be easily blown away if it left bare. It does not possess humus. Thus, it is less fertile. It can be made fertile by adding manure in them, which increases its water holding capacity. This soil is not sticky, and therefore these cannot be used to make pots, bricks, toys, and statues. Second is clayey soil. Clayey particles are smaller and are packed tightly so that it leaves a little space for air. Water drains very slowly through clay soil. It is less aerated, and these also contain very little humus. It is heavier than sandy soil. Clay soil is more fertile than sandy soil. The fertility of clay soil can be improved by adding some sand and humus to it. Clay soil is very sticky, and it can be used to make pots, bricks, toys, and statues. The next is loamy soil. It is a mixture of sand, clay, and silt with small amount of humus in it. Therefore, it is very fertile and best topsoil for growing plants. It has water holding capacity, and excess water can also be drained out through it easily. It is smooth, partially gritty, and sticky soil. Next is soil profile. Soil profile is vertical section through different layers of soil, and these different layers of soil are called horizon. Various horizon of soil profile are A horizon, that is topsoil, B horizon, that is subsoil, C horizon, that is substratum, and bedrock, that is parent rock. Let us discuss it one by one. First is A horizon. A horizon is the topmost or uppermost layer of the soil, and it is usually dark in color because of the presence of minerals and humus in it, and it provides the nutrients to the plant since the roots of the most plants are confined to this layer. Humus is that dark brown substance which increases the fertility of the soil, and humus helps in making the topsoil porous. This layer is generally soft and retains more water in it. This layer provides shelter for many living organisms like earthworm, rodents, moles, and beetle. Second horizon is B horizon, that is subsoil. This layer of soil lies just below the topsoil. It is made up of slightly bigger rock particles than that of topsoil. It does not have much humus and is lighter in color than topsoil. It is somewhat harder and some compact than the topsoil. This layer is less fertile than topsoil and contains few living organisms. The subsoil is rich in minerals and iron oxides. Third horizon is sea horizon, or we can say substratum. This layer of soil which lies just below the subsoil is called sea horizon, and it consists of small pieces of broken rocks with cracks and crevices formed by the weathering of bedrock of parent rock. And the last one is bedrock or parent rock. Below the sea horizon, unweathered solid rock is found, which is called bedrock, and it is non-porous and can produce the soil over a long period of time. Rainwater get collected over it to form the water table, and this layer is hard enough and is difficult to dig. Now we will focus on properties of soil. Soil possesses various properties like it contains air, it can hold water, it can absorb water, and it allows water to pass down through it. And one of the important property of soil is percolation. Soil is porous, that is, it has tiny pores in it. When water is poured over it, then some water get absorbed in the soil and rest passes down the soil. The process of passing down of water slowly through the soil is called percolation of water. And what is percolation rate? Percolation rate is the amount of water in ml that is percolated through the soil in unit time, that is in minutes. And the percolation rate differs in different types of soil. The rate of percolation can be calculated by using this formula. Amount of water in ml when get divided by percolation times in minute, then we can get percolation rate. By performing a simple activity, we can understand the meaning of percolation rate. If we take a hollow pipe having a diameter of 5 cm and place it 2 cm deep into the ground, and then we pour 200 ml of water in the pipe slowly, and then we note the time initially and then finally when all the water get percolated, or we can say goes inside the soil. We have to note that time also. So now we can calculate the rate of percolation by using this formula. Here we are taking 200 ml of water, and if we say that it takes 20 minutes to percolate, the percolation time is 20 minutes. So we can get the percolation rate by dividing it, and we get the number 10 ml per minute. So this is percolation rate. Percolation rate is highest in sandy soil because it is very loose. On the other hand, clayey soil is very compact and therefore has the lowest rate of percolation. The soil contains some water in it, which is called soil moisture. Usually moisture is present as a thin film around the soil particles. This moisture is absorbed by the roots of plants. Thus the moisture content of the soil is very important for the growth of crops. And we can prove it that soil contains moisture by performing a simple activity. Take a boiling tube and put 2 spoonfuls of soil sample in it. Heat it on the flame and observe it. On heating, water in the soil get evaporated, moves up and condense at the cooler inner wall of the upper part of the boiling tube. Hence, we can prove that moisture is present in the soil. After heating the soil, take it out and compare it with the soil which has not been heated. Soil contains moisture in it, but it can still absorb or soak a lot of water. But soil has a limit to absorb water in it. The ability or capacity of soil to absorb a limit of water is called absorption percentage. Different types of soil can absorb water to different extent. That is, some absorb more water while others absorb less water. We can compare the percentage of water absorbed by different types of soil by the help of an activity. Take a plastic funnel and take filter paper, fold and place it as shown in the figure. Weigh 50 grams of dry powdered soil and pour it into the funnel. Measure certain amount of water in a measuring cylinder, say 10 ml, and pour it drop by drop on the soil. You can use dropper for this activity. Do not let all the water fall at one spot. Pour water over the soil and keep pouring the water till it starts dripping. Subtract the amount of water left in the measuring cylinder from the amount you have started with. This is the amount of water retained by the soil. We can calculate the percentage of water absorbed by using this formula, U minus V upon W into 100. Here U is the initial volume of water taken and V is the final volume of water which is left behind in the measuring cylinder, and W is the weight of the soil. If we take initial volume of water as 10 ml and final volume that is left behind in the beaker after the experiment is 5 ml, and if we put these values in the formula, we get U is 10 ml and V is 5 ml, and when we divide it by the weight of the soil, that is 50 gram into 100, then we get the percentage of water absorbed as 10%. Ability of soil to hold water is called water retention. The ability of soil to retain water is strongly related to the particle size. So we can conclude that sandy soil will absorb less water and allows more water to percolate. A clayey soil will absorb more water but allow less water to percolate. Different types of soil are found in different parts of the India. Soil is mainly affected by wind, rainfall, temperature, light and humidity. Some climatic factors also affect the soil profile and bring changes in the soil structure. The plants that grow on the surface of the earth are called vegetation. It includes green grass, herbs, shrubs, bushes, crop plants and trees. Clay and loamy soils are both suitable for growing cereals like wheat and gram, and such soils are good at retaining water. For paddy, soil rich in clay and organic matter and having a good capacity to retain water are ideal. For lentils like masoor and other pulses, loamy soil which drain water easily are required. For cotton, potatoes and other cereals, sandy loam, or we can say loam, which drains water easily and can hold plenty of air, are more suitable. Crop such as wheat are grown in fine clay soil because they are rich in humus and are very fertile. These are the crops which are grown in different types of soil. Next is soil erosion. Soil erosion is the process of removal of the top layer of the soil. But what causes soil erosion? Basically, it is caused by wind, water and ice. And these are the agents of soil erosion. Apart from the natural agents, human activities like cutting down of trees also causes soil erosion. Plant roots bind the soil in place and prevent it from being washed away. So if there will be no trees, floods will occur which will leach the soil and nutrients, and eventually land will become barren which cannot be used for vegetation. So more trees should be planted in order to prevent soil erosion. So let's conclude the chapter with the promise that we will plant more and more trees to save environment and to save future. Thank you very much.